There's a tractor sitting in sheds across rural America right now that was built before the moon landing, before interstate highways connected the whole country, before most of the farmers running it today were even born. And in 2026, that tractor is still making money. Not because farmers are sentimental, not because they can't afford something newer, but because when you sit down and run the actual numbers, the Massey Ferguson 35 pencils out in ways that a brand new $35,000 compact tractor simply cannot match on a small to mid-size operation. That's what we're getting into today. Real economics, no nostalgia, just the math. Let's establish what we're actually talking about first. The Massey Ferguson 35 was produced from 1956 through 1964. It ran a Perkins 3-cylinder diesel engine, the AD3.152, producing around 37 horsepower at the PTO. 3-point hitch, live hydraulics, simple gear transmission, built in Coventry, England and in Banner Lane, the same Banner Lane plant that produced Massey Ferguson iron for decades. This is not a high horsepower machine. Nobody is planting 3,000 acres with an MF-35. That is not the conversation. The conversation is about small farm economics, about the 50 to 200 acre operation, about the livestock farmer running hay ground, about the market gardener needing a loader and a bush hog, about the rural property owner maintaining 80 acres of mixed pasture and timber. For that operator, the MF-35 is not a nostalgic choice. It is a financial decision. And in 2026, that financial decision looks better than it has in years. Here is why the economics work, and why they work specifically right now. A decent running Massey Ferguson 35 in the current used equipment market can be purchased in a range of roughly $3,500 to $8,500, depending on condition, hours, and whether it has been recently serviced. A well-maintained example with a good engine and functional hydraulics sits in that range consistently across farm auction results and private sales in 2026. Now compare that to the entry point for a new compact tractor in the 25 to 40 horsepower class from any of the major current brands. A new Kubota, John Deere, Mahindra, or New Holland compact in that horsepower range, equipped with a loader and basic implements, puts you in the $25,000 to $40,000 range, depending on configuration and dealer. The purchase price difference alone is $20,000 to $35,000. On a small farming operation generating modest annual revenue, that capital difference is enormous. It's the difference between owning the equipment outright and carrying a 5 to 7 year equipment note with interest at current agricultural lending rates. In 2026, equipment financing rates for smaller operators are not the historically low numbers of the previous decade. A $30,000 compact tractor note at current rates carries real monthly interest cost that compounds across the ownership cycle. The MF-35 purchased outright for $6,000 carries zero interest cost, zero monthly payment, zero drag on the operation's cash flow from the day it arrives in the yard, zero payment, zero interest. That is an unbeatable financing structure. Here at Soilframe, we cover the equipment decisions that actually affect small and mid-size farm economics, not just the big iron conversations. If this kind of real-world analysis is useful to you, subscribe right now and share this with a fellow farmer or rural landowner running a smaller operation. Subscribe to Soilframe. We cover the math the dealership doesn't run for you. Now let's talk about the operating cost side, because purchase price is only the beginning of the ROI conversation. The Massey Ferguson 35 runs a Perkins AD3.152 3-cylinder diesel. This engine has been in continuous use for over 60 years. The parts availability for this engine in 2026 is genuinely remarkable. Because so many of these engines exist in the global fleet, the aftermarket parts supply is deep, consistent, and competitively priced. Pistons, rings, bearings, injectors, water pumps, head gaskets, all available through multiple aftermarket suppliers at prices that reflect genuine market competition. A full engine overhaul on an AD3.152 using quality aftermarket components can be completed for a fraction of what a modern, electronically controlled engine costs to service through a dealer. There is no software, there is no dealer laptop, there is no diagnostic authorization required. A competent farm mechanic, or the farmer himself with a service manual and a set of hand tools, can perform the vast majority of maintenance and repair work on an MF35 in his own shop. Oil changes, injector service, valve adjustments, clutch replacement, hydraulic pump service, three-point hitch adjustments. All of it is accessible, documented, and doable without a corporate service relationship. Compare that to a modern compact tractor from any of the major current brands. The electronics package on a 2024 or 2025 model compact tractor, even in the sub-40 horsepower class, includes emission control systems, electronic fuel management, CAN bus communication networks, and in many cases, telematics systems that route diagnostic data through the manufacturer's platform. A DEF system fault on a modern compact during hay season is not a 20-minute fix in the field. It is a dealer call, a service ticket, and a wait that does not care about your weather window. The MF35 does not have a DEF system. It does not have an emissions module. It does not have a software gate between you and the repair. It has a Perkins diesel, a mechanical injection pump, and a service manual that tells you exactly what to do when something goes wrong. That simplicity is not a limitation in 2026. That simplicity is a financial asset. Let's run a realistic 10-year ownership comparison between an MF35 purchased today and a new compact tractor purchased today. MF35 scenario. Purchase price, $6,500 for a solid running example. Immediate service, oil change, filters, injector check, hydraulic fluid, maybe a set of rear tires if needed. Call it $800 to $200 in deferred maintenance at purchase. Annual operating costs, fuel, oil, filters, and the occasional wear item, realistically $400 to $700 per year on a machine running 150 to 200 hours annually on a small operation. Major repair reserve, set aside $500 per year for the unexpected. 10-year total operating cost estimate, $8,000 to $12,000 all in, including purchase price. New compact tractor scenario. Purchase price, $32,000 for a mid-spec 35 horsepower unit with loader. 5-year note at current rates. Monthly payment in the range of $550 to $650 depending on rate and down payment. Interest paid over 5 years, real money. Annual dealer service costs. Scheduled maintenance on a modern compact with emission systems runs meaningfully higher than on a pre-emission machine. Extended warranty consideration. Many operators add this for peace of mind on a machine with electronic systems. 10-year total cost estimate, $45,000 to $55,000 all in when you factor financing cost, service, and maintenance across the ownership cycle. The 10-year cost difference between these two scenarios can exceed $35,000 to $40,000 on a small operation. That is not a minor budget line. On a 100-acre operation generating $40,000 to $60,000 in annual gross revenue, a $40,000 equipment cost difference over 10 years is a genuinely significant portion of the operation's total economic picture. Now let's talk about what the MF35 actually cannot do, because honest analysis requires the trade-offs. The MF35 is a 37-horsepower tractor. If your operation demands consistent high-draft work, deep tillage, heavy loader work on a daily basis, running large implements, the horsepower limitation is real. A modern 40-horsepower compact tractor with a modern loader hydraulic system will outperform an MF35 on loader cycle times and heavy hydraulic demand work. The cab environment on an MF35 is an open station with no climate control, no suspension seat in the original configuration, and no sound insulation. For an operator running long days in summer heat or cold weather, operator comfort is a real consideration that a modern compact tractor addresses with genuine improvements. Parts availability, while generally good for the Perkins engine and main drivetrain components, can be inconsistent for some body and sheet metal items, electrical components, and specialized hydraulic parts depending on your region and supplier access. And the MF35 carries no manufacturer warranty, no support line, no dealer service network. When something goes wrong, the repair is entirely the operator's responsibility to source, diagnose, and complete. Those trade-offs are real. They belong in the honest analysis. The question is whether those trade-offs matter on your specific operation. For a small acreage farmer running 150 to 200 hours annually on light to moderate work, hay mowing, bush hogging, light loader work, cultivation. The MF-35's limitations rarely surface as operational constraints. The work gets done, the machine performs, and the financial picture stays dramatically cleaner than a modern equipment note. There is another dimension to this conversation that doesn't show up in the spreadsheet, but shows up in the operation every single day. The farmer who owns an MF-35 owns it completely. No software lock, no dealer authorization requirement, no manufacturer platform controlling what he can and cannot do with the machine he paid for, no subscription service, no telematics system routing his operating data through a corporate server. No right-to-repair battle being fought in a federal courtroom over his ability to fix his own equipment. He owns the machine the way equipment was owned for the first 100 years of American farm mechanization. Outright, completely, without conditions attached by the manufacturer after the sale. In 2026, that kind of ownership is increasingly rare in American agriculture. And it has real value that does not appear on a spec sheet. The Federal Trade Commission filed suit against John Deere in January 2025 over repair restrictions on modern equipment. State right-to-repair legislation is moving through multiple state legislatures. The policy environment around who controls repair access on modern farm equipment is actively contested in courts and legislatures across the country right now. The MF-35 operator is not part of that conversation. He is not waiting for a court ruling to tell him whether he can fix his own tractor. He already can. He already does. He always could. That is not a small thing in 2026. The ROI case for the Massey Ferguson 35 in 2026 comes down to 3 numbers. Purchase price, dramatically lower than any new compact alternative. Operating cost, dramatically lower due to mechanical simplicity and aftermarket parts availability. Ownership structure, complete, unconditional with no manufacturer dependency built into the repair relationship. For the right operation, the small to mid-size farm, the livestock operation running hay ground, the rural property owner maintaining mixed acreage, those 3 numbers build an ROI case that a new compact tractor cannot overcome regardless of how attractive the monthly payment looks in January at the dealership. The monthly payment is not the cost. The total 10-year financial picture is the cost. And when you run that picture honestly, the tractor built in Coventry before the moon landing is still making a very strong financial argument in 2026. Not because it's the best tractor ever built, it isn't. Not because modern compact tractors are bad machines, they're not. But because for a specific operator profile on a specific operation size, the math has not changed as much as the showroom wants you to believe. The MF-35 in a good shed, well maintained, doing the work it was built for, costs less to own, costs less to operate, and costs less to repair than any new alternative in its horsepower class. That is the ROI case, and the numbers make it without needing a single ounce of nostalgia to support them. Thanks for watching Soilframe. If you found this breakdown valuable, share it with a fellow farmer and comment below your thoughts on this topic. See you in the next one.